Peeping Tom. My Memories. By R Kumar. Kumar's Parallel Timeline Series. Prologue. My name is Kumar, my friends call me Peeping Tom, and I tell them stories about my experiences. After hearing my stories, they started calling me Peeping Tom, because I used to tell them all about the neighborhood and what I watched in my surroundings. I and my friends used to sit in the park or the open ground after our games or somewhere secluded, where people do not disturb us. Most of these stories are fantasies from my own experiences, and I totally exaggerated stories and added some names to them and told them as my experiences. Please read on. Childhood. I was introduced to sexuality at a tender age. I do not exactly remember when or from what time, I could not remember. I was interested in seeing naked ladies, especially boobs and nipples. In those days we did not have computers, not even TVs. With a little effort, I could see them in the surroundings, especially from our terrace. From our terrace, I could see all around. That was a middle-class neighborhood and the houses are so close together, one can jump from one house to another. I used to spend a lot of time on the terrace studying and reading. I was an avid reader from a very young age, from the time I could read. My father used to bring children's books like Chandamama and Balamitra. We used to fight about who should read first. Then I used to go to the library and read all kinds of books. I was more interested in science and technology. Later on, Earl Stanley Gardner's Perry Mason stories, then on to James Hadley Chase books and other books, then whichever book I can lay my hands on. Once I went to my mama's maternal uncle's house for the marriage of my uncle. My cousin's sister was a little elder than me. I used to wander everywhere with these cousins. Used to go to their school, sit with them or outside. While walking to the school and back, she used to tell us stories of their neighborhood couples. Once she with her friends decided to do some musty fun activities and choose a small guest room. They all went inside and I followed them. She was telling them stories of how people had fun like this or that sexually as if she saw them. She was telling, not explicitly but how they were dancing, rolling on the floor, standing close and kissing, and things like that. She asked two girls to remove their underwear and enact those actions. Like touching one another on their private parts, standing close by touching their private parts, like these actions. Next, she asked me to drop my half punt. She made them inspect my penis and balls. Let them touch my penis and move it a little. Asked one girl to make it touch her cunt. But she never herself acted in these acts. When we went to sleep in the night, one of the girls crept into my bedsheet and started to play with my penis. This went on for 2 to 3 days. Sometimes new girls joined us in the room. There were never any other boys. Nobody bothered us thinking we were playing games or something. This must be the beginning of my sexuality. Once I stood on our terrace and saw a lady coming out of the bathroom quite naked checking for something. Later I understood that she had her period and was looking for something to clean her vagina. Once I saw a lady taking bath with exposed boobs. Once after taking bath, another lady was changing from her wet clothes exposing her breasts. Once when traveling in a private bus, this bus doesn't have seats like regular buses, but a single seat covering the length of the bus on one side and another side regular seats. I was sitting beside a lady who must be breastfeeding a child. After feeding, she left her jacket open but covered it with her sari. I dozed off and when I woke up a little later, I found myself looking at her breast from under her sari. It seems her sari covered my face due to the wind. They were filled with milk and very round and big. I had the opportunity to watch them for at least an hour and dozed off twice in between. Once I was sitting outside the neighbor's door on a cement bench with my friends when someone closed the door behind me and all my friends left. I was wondering what happened and looked through the window slits, finding a lady dressing after having a bath from bath towel to night dress exposing her breasts. After having a glimpse, I wanted to have a full show. The next day I was outside her bathroom and could not see much as the bathroom was dark. When she was coming out, I ducked into another bathroom. Wanting to see what is happening, I climbed the wall of the bathroom and peeked from the top of the wall. What I found was I was looking into her bedroom. She closed the window but slightly ajar and I could see her starting to wear a bra. I could see her breasts, they were round and firm. Once I heard her talk to one of our neighboring aunties about whether by putting on weight can one achieve bigger breasts implied, and the auntie replied in affirmative. The auntie was a little plump herself. This lady must have taken the advice and put on a little, no not just a little but quite some weight. The next time I waited somewhere when she went into her room after her bath, I went and stood outside the window. Now I can see her very clearly. This went on for some time until I must have been bored of it and stopped. It was customary to treat paternal uncles' daughters and maternal aunts' daughters to treat them as sisters and to treat paternal aunts' daughters and maternal uncles' older daughters as sisters-in-law and younger ones to treat as future wives and flirt with them. If we don't flirt with them, they may take offense to that. Flirting with them is a birthright for us. Teenage life. Mostly, I used to keep to myself at home. I was quite intelligent and used to get good grades, so nobody bothered me about my studies. I used to have a small room, where some items are placed. It was like a storeroom of items that are not required regularly. I used to have a cotton mattress, a pillow, and 2 bed sheets, one for putting on the mattress and one for covering myself. Once a relative girl has come to stay with us. She was our aunt's daughter. After her mother's death and her father was not taking care of her family, she came to stay with us for some time. We had a small house. As there was no other place, my mother put her in my room for the night, sleeping with me. She is 5 to 6 years older than me. I must have been 14 years at the time. She used to sleep on my bed and was using my bedsheet to cover herself. It was cool but not very cold. I used to wait until her breathing becomes even and tried to touch her boobs over the bedsheet covering her to see her reaction. She must be a sound sleeper and there was no reaction. It was quite dark in the room. I only want to know if was awake by her reactions. So next I tried to put my hand under the bedsheet and tried to touch her breasts over her dress. They were small and she had small nipples. Next, I pushed aside the half sari covering her blouse and touched her again. After some time, I fell asleep turning to the other side. The next day, boldened by the previous night's lack of reactions, I slipped 1 or 2 hooks off her blouse and touched her. I felt a shock run through me as it was the first time I touched a girl's boobs. I adjusted the hooks and went back to sleep. Next time I tried to touch her cunt over her dress. It felt a little bushy, then I don't know, girls had hair there. So next time I sat at her feet and tried to reach from under her petticoat to her cunt. After lifting a little of her petticoat, I could reach her cunt. It was all bushy and could touch the vagina. Feeling overwhelmed, I adjusted the dress and went back to sleep. After some days, she went away leaving me alone. Once I found a book containing sexual stories. One of the stories was Seeing is Believing and Doing is Awesome. In the story, one married lady used a boy my age to send messages to her lover. Whenever her husband goes away, she calls the boy and tells him to call her lover, and she used to give the boy some money every time. He used to bring the lover with him, call her, when she lets him in, and go away. One day, when he was leaving, it started raining heavily, so the boy had to stop going to his home. So, bored, he looks through the slits of the window. Seeing them going at it, in the story, the boy's penis gets stiffened. My dick is also stiffened. It was the first time I had an erection. After she completes her business and goes to the bathroom to wash up and comes out to let her lover out. Then she sees the boy sitting there and asks him if has he seen anything. He replies yes. So next time, instead of calling for her lover, she calls the boy into her house and shows him how to enjoy it. For some time, I was away from home for studies and returned for the summer holidays. It was summer. I was sleeping on the terrace alone for some days. One night a couple came to the terrace to sleep. They must be having a space problem or some relatives came and they had to share their bedroom with them, or they might be feeling hot in the house. Maybe thinking they will have some privacy, they came to the terrace to sleep. I was awoken by their sounds but had not moved. My head was under the bedsheet, but there is a small hole at my eye level and I could see a little through the hole. Finding me there, she said the boy is sleeping there. The man said no problem, he is just a kid. They slept on the bed they made on the floor. She removed her blouse and put her legs on the man's chest and was moving her legs. He must be fingering her. I could not see clearly. After some time, they took the bedsheet over them and laid one over the other, starting to move rhythmically under the bedsheet. When their business finished, they went back to sleep. After waiting for some time, I rolled on the floor and reached her side. Her blouse was left open and she was sleeping face up. Her breasts were glistening under the light moonlight. I touched her breast and felt a pain in my loins. I went to have a piss and relieved myself. That is the time, unknown to me, I had a problem with premature ejaculation. But by not worrying about it, I controlled myself mentally. When they stopped coming up to the terrace, I went down and went to their bedroom window. From the slits in the window, I could see a little into the room. Small bed light was lighting the room. They were involved in something, which clearly cannot be seen, and I am not fully aware of the sexual acts. The next day I touched the window, which was not bolted from the inside, and shifted a little. Now I could see clearly. As the outside is pitch dark, I am confident that they could not see me. She had removed her blouse and sari and on her petticoat. She was sitting on her husband and riding him. I could see her breasts moving up and down. My breathing becomes shallow and hard. I moved away from the window else they might hear my breathing. I controlled my breathing and looked inside. Now she was on her back and her husband was pumping her. After some time when he finished, he rolled aside. I now could see her boobs in the yellowish light. Finding them finished, I went back to my bed. The next time my friend came over for a sleepover, I took him to see the action. That day must have just started. We pushed the window a little, finding her unbuttoning her blouse. Normally, she bathes every night and wears white clothes, a white blouse, a white sari, and a white petticoat and puts some flowers on her hair, mostly mogra. She removed her blouse, sari, and petticoat to become completely nude. She stood before her husband. He started caressing her breasts and then started kissing them one after another. He touched her cunt and she flinched a little. Then they slept on the bed in the 69 position. She put her vagina in his mouth and started giving him a blowjob. Then they shifted positions bottom up. She was handling his penis and he was caressing her vagina with his tongue. Then he shifted and sat on her and started pumping her until he finishes. It seems, she has not satisfied and she sat on him and started her up-down rhythm with his limp penis. When she was satisfied, got up and wore her petticoat and bra and slept. During this time, I and my friend were fighting for a clear view. When they are finished, we went to our beds. The next time I looked in their bedroom, they were trying doggy style. She was slouched on her knees, with her toes hanging over the side of the bed. He was standing behind her trying to insert his penis into her cunt from behind. Her cunt must be tight from behind, she still had no kids, he ejaculated quickly. So, she made him sleep on his back and tried to harden his penis with her hand. When it became hard, she sat on him and started riding him in a straight sitting position. Her boobs were bobbling up and down. With the dull light of the 0-watt bulb, her boobs were seen as dull yellow. Her nipples can be seen as dark as night and she was just 4 feet away from my side. Then she asked him to change positions. Now she was on her back and he was on top of her. Her boobs become a little flattened by sleeping on her back. One of her nipples can be seen as he moved. After they finished, I went back to my bed. Later, after my first year of college, I had to move to Bombay as my family already moved there. As a young man, after going to Bombay, I joined a diploma course in accountancy. There I met a Gujarati guy Kirit. He took a liking to me and made me his friend. In the evenings he used to take me to have snacks. I was not having any money, only my railway pass and bus fare. He was well off and had a lot of money with him. During the exams, he used to call me to his house for combined studies. Rather it is for me to coach him on the tough subjects. As I was not fluent in Hindi, I could teach him in English. However, all the subjects were in English. He was not fluent in English as he transferred from Baroda. This coaching went on until he had completed his degree. Once he took me to watch an aliens movie. On the way we had cigarettes. Another time he took me to watch Amitabh's movie Yarana. On the way, we had cigarettes and some snacks. When his parents were away he called me to his house. We had some liquor and cigarettes and enjoyed the night. Once I went to his house. He was not at home. I went in and sat on the bed. His cousin sisters have come from Ahmedabad. His older cousin came and sat on the sofa opposite me. She lifted her legs and folded them under her. She was wearing a frock. When she was lifting her leg, I could see her panty. After some time, she got up and went into the kitchen and came back with some vegetables to cut. She sat on the sofa and again sat folding her legs under her. I could see her panties. This went on for some time. She used to get up and come back and sit again putting her legs under her and I could see her panties. Once he took me to Baroda for his exams. He had to write some exams and get a certificate, so he can complete his studies in Bombay. He had 2 brothers there, one elder and one younger. After reaching there, we put our bags and freshened up. Kirit said, let us go and meet some friends. We took cycles and rode for 20 minutes and reached a place. As it was lunchtime, they made khichdi and added some ghee to it, and gave it to us. After ghee, they gave us some buttermilk to eat with khichdi. After lunch, he took us to the fields, where his friends brought us some toddy to drink. Kirit said, I will just be back, and went away. He came back after an hour with a smirk on his face. From his expression, it seems he went and met some girl. He said, it is your turn, someone is waiting for you, and gave me instructions on how to get there. Behind the grass heap, there was a small shack with a cot. I went there and sat on the cot. After 5 minutes a girl came in. She must be 20 years of age. She was wearing a traditional Gujarati dress. She was fair and without any kind of makeup. She looked just freshened up and came. I asked her to sit beside me. I kissed her a little and I opened her blouse and had a full view of her boobs. I kissed her boobs, played with them for some time and came back. He used to call me for teaching him while he was doing his degree. Even though I had not my degree, I used to read textbooks and used to explain to him. This way he cleared his 3 years degree exams. After completing his degree, Kirit started working and he tried to get me a job but was not successful. We started to move farther away. I used to go to his house once in a while on holidays. He used to come to our house for some functions. He used to like non-veg at our house. They don't eat non-veg in their house. Neighbors. We had a neighbor family from the Himachal region. The father was in the department and the mother was a housewife. They had 2 sons, one oldest and one youngest, and 2 daughters. Both the daughters were younger than me. The eldest daughter was of medium height, fair and petite. Her name is Lakshmi. The younger daughter was a little plump, fairer than her sister and more beautiful. Everybody called her Dee. I had my eyes on Dee from the time I went to Bombay. The youngest son Suri was in 8th standard then. Their mother asked me to teach him maths as he was very poor at maths. I agreed and used to go to their home for giving maths tuition to him. Dee used to go to typing practice in the evenings. I used to be ready myself and wait on the steps until she goes to typing, then go teach her brother. Daily, I tried to match the colors of her dress with my dress. If she wears green, I used to wear green, if blue then blue. I used to have a sixth sense of what she is going to wear that day. After finishing tuition, I used to go for a walk and she would be coming from the opposite direction. We would cross each other and speak with our eyes. This went on for more than a year. One day, I was waiting for her on the steps for her to go. I had a feeling someone was looking at me from the terrace of another building. Some guys were flying kites. After tuition, I went to bring kerosene from the ration shop. While returning, he caught me on the road turn. He caught my collar and was saying something as if she is his girlfriend. Enraged by his actions, I put down the kerosene and started punching him with my fists. He let me go and I calmly picked up the kerosene and reached home. After reaching home, I told my mom. Someone caught my collar from behind and was shouting at me. I punched him and came home. She came out and started blasting the people. The neighbors also came to her support and the man was never seen around again. When the exam time came, Lakshmi asked me to take her to the exam hall to verify the previous day of the exam. It was far away and I had a railway pass for the route. I have my institute in the same area. I took her there first by bus and then we caught a local train. Throughout the journey, we sat side by side. We went to the exam hall by asking people and shopkeepers along the way. When we reached there, we found that it was not her exam hall and she had mistakenly thought that it was her center. We came back by auto first, then took the train and walked to her college. There she noted the correct center and told me she could go there tomorrow. We walked back to the bus stand and took a bus back home. Next year Lakshmi asked me to teach her accounts. We used to sit in the hall as I used to teach Suri. Now Suri reached the 10th standard. He used to tell all gossip about the neighborhood. We used to play badminton. Suri with his family and some neighbors. We all used to play badminton on the road opposite our house. We put up some lights, so we can play at the night also. With the boys' acquaintances, we started to form a cricket group. For Lakshmi's tuition, we used to sit opposite each other with a teapoy in between. Lakshmi finished her 12th. Next year Dee joined 11th standard college. After some time, she asked me to teach her accounts. I used to teach the boy in the hall. To teach her they gave us a room. There was a table in the corner. We used to sit in an L shape. Our knees used to touch. Sometimes, I felt like fingering her legs. Dee mostly wore gowns of knee length or skirts and tops. The family were of modern beliefs. They never objected to our sitting or the way I behaved with her while teaching. I used to teach her in a fun way, making jokes if she made any mistake and generally flirting lightly with her. I taught her for 2 years. One day the mother called me and said there is no more need to teach her. Lakshmi was telling me that I should look for a nice girl to marry, etc. The next day Dee was sent away for nursing training. Later I came to know that she was interested in a boy, so they sent her away. Next year she was married and the reception was organized outside the house. My brother was arranging to light and asked me for help, otherwise I might not have gone. I helped him with his instruments and later served in the reception. I was so tired after the reception, I had to take painkillers for getting some sleep. So, this way the story ended with her. It seems their family thought I was in love with her and would be heartbroken. So, they were giving advice. I only had a crush on her. At least for some years, I had a fun time with her. Later they went away to their own house. We shifted to another part of the colony on the ground floor. It has a garden and 2 rooms and a passageway. I used to sleep in the passageway. Here we had no access to the terrace. As some incident with a mentally challenged girl happened on the terrace, they closed all the terraces with steps access. This incident was told to me by Suri. On my tour. Once I went to Vijayawada for my cousin sister's wedding. We went to the village for the wedding. After marriage, my mother and sister went with the bride. My father went to Bombay. I came back to Vijayawada. There I went to meet my friend Srinu. We were friends from our college days. Srinu said, Sneha was asking about me and wanted to meet me. I asked him, get details on where and when. Sneha used to stay one street over. If we both came to our terraces, we could see each other. Our grandfather had a clinic on their street. I used to go to the clinic and she used to come and we used to chit-chat at the clinic. I used to tell her about astrology and I used to read her palm and tell her things. After 1 year of college, I had to go over to Bombay. She went away for the summer holidays and I could not tell her about my moving to Bombay. The next time I went over to Vijayawada, they shifted house and I could not see her again. Later he gave me an address and a time. I went there, she was waiting for me. She said it was her friend's room and she asked her friends to come later. She was telling me that from her college days she used to like me. She could not tell me at that time and scolded me for moving away without informing her. She couldn't tell me earlier and kept it in her heart. Now her parents were fixing a match for her, and were not listening to her to postpone for some time. She wanted to tell me this before her marriage. I told her, I am in no position to marry her, I have not settled down and had no fixed income, I could not marry her at that juncture. She said, she understood all that and she wanted to have a final and parting G from me. She said that is the reason, she called me to meet. She explained what she needed. As it was in my power to give her and I agreed to her proposal. At first, I had a quickie. As it was my first time, I had a premature outside her vagina before it could enter her. I said sorry for being like this and said it was my first time with any girl and asked permission to try again. After that, we had some foreplay and I was able to perform better. After that, I took her to leave and went away and I have not heard from her again. During my degree course. After completing the diploma course, I took a break of 3 years from my studies while I was working and trying for CA. After 3 years I joined the degree course. I just finished my first year degree exams. I went to my aunt's place. My aunt has one son and one daughter. We were all sleeping in a single room. I was sleeping on the cot and beside me, my aunt's son was sleeping. My aunt was sleeping on an easy chair at my legs. Her daughter was sleeping on the floor, perpendicular to me, her legs towards me. After some time, she put her foot on the side rail near my shoulder. When turning over, my hand touched her feet. I was slightly awakened by the touch. She was sleeping soundly, at least it seemed, her breathing was rhythmic. All in all, it seemed she was oblivious to my touch. I stretched my hand and put my hand on her thigh. She has not shown any reaction. Slowly I reached my hand under her petticoat and slid it. When it reached her cunt, I touched her pubic hair. Then I touched the lips of her cunt and just pushed my fingers lightly. Then I fingered her for some time, and when I felt I ejaculated myself, I let her go and went back to sleep. The next day she was sleeping parallel to my bed on the floor. I was awakened by a touch of her hand in the middle of the night. I dropped my left hand below. It touched her chest. She was wearing a half sari with a blouse. Her blouse's top 2 buttons were already open. I slid my hand under the blouse and touched her nipple. Then another nipple. This went on for some time. Then, the next day I slid down my hand a little and touched her stomach. Slowly slid down and touched her navel. Lowered my hand under her petticoat and touched the bushy pubic hair. As the petticoat was loosely tied, I could reach her cunt's lips. I started fingering her. When my hand started to pain, I left her and went to sleep. I never imposed myself on anyone. Never anyone said no to me and I tried to force myself on them. Neither did I try to do any kind of blackmail anyone. If they are responsive, then only I talk to them. If anyone showed any kind of repulsive attitude, I kept away from such people. There are always some with high attitudes who look down upon other people as insects. I kept away from them. Never approached them. I was always cordial with girls. I had the tag of the best behaved boy among our relatives. Once when I went to my cousin's wedding, a girl came and asked can she sit with me as she does not know anybody else. I was brother relation to her and she took her parents' permission. Throughout the marriage, she sat with me and was with me a full day even for lunch and dinner. I am a very likable person. People easily confided in me. They tell me their problems and ask me for advice. Mostly they follow my advice and are relieved from their troubles. I had developed a kind of sixth sense and always listen to my thoughts. I wait for people to strike conversation first. Based on their body language, I behave with them. Normally people feel like a trustworthy and intelligent person when they look at me. Some people who look at poor and rich distinctions may not feel the same way about me. My first serious girlfriend. I used to travel a lot. I used to have some pen pals with some girls and some boys. Whenever the girls asked, I sent them my photo. The boys never asked for photos. They want some other information. Information like how were the girls in Bombay, how to follow girls and what needs to be done to get closer to the girls. I am photogenic and look better in the photo than actually I am. I was 22 at the time. Once I was in Vijayawada and Nandini from Guntur asked me to come to meet her and gave me a place and time. We were pen pals for more than 2 years. I went to Guntur, stepped down at the bus stand and Nandini was waiting for me. She recognized me from the photo I sent her. She was wearing white color churida pajamas of good quality. She was slender, fair with a good physique. She was almost beautiful and had clear skin and no makeup. She was likable on first look. She seemed to have come from a well-off family. Her father was in some business, she wrote to me. She took me on the bus to the Krishna riverfront. The bus journey was horrible, the roads were full of potholes and the bus was moving from side to side jumping up and down. I rather enjoyed the journey with her, holding her hand, touching one another's shoulders, touching each other's thighs. This went on for some 20 minutes. Then after getting off the bus, we sat in a boat and crossed over to an island. There we sat in an isolated place. She was saying lovers come here to spend time, hinting that she wants to spend time there as lovers would do in those circumstances. We talked about this and that for some time. She brought some chocolates and poppins. Finding no one around, I placed my hand on her hand. She responded positively. She gave me some poppins to eat. She said she likes to eat chocolates. I was sitting facing sideways from her. I went and sat beside her. Slowly I turned and kissed her on the cheeks. She responded by turning her face towards me. Then I kissed her on the mouth. I touched her boobs over the dress. She flinched a little. We spent some time like this there. After some time, we came back to the riverfront and took the boat and came to the other side of the river and back to the bus stand to buy catching a bus and returned to the bus stand. We said goodbyes there and I returned to Vijayawada. Later on, I went to Hyderabad for my second year exams. Nandini was in Hyderabad at the time and she gave me her phone number. After completing the exams, I called her. She told me to come to her place the next day and she gave me an address in Jubilee Hills. I went to the area in the address, could not find the place and had to call her from a payphone. She gave me directions to reach her place. She was having a bungalow with a garden and a compound wall with a big gate. At the time there were very few houses there. In the compound, a car was standing. She took me inside the house. She sat me down on the sofa and gave me some snacks and tea. We watched some TV. She said her parents were away at a marriage function in Guntur and would not return for another 2 days. She did not go with them citing exams. Then she took me to her bedroom. There we had a wonderful time. This time I went there prepared. I know I have a problem with premature ejaculation. So before going to her place, I had jacked off. I spent more time with foreplay and postplay. My goal was her satisfaction to mine. The thing about men is they ejaculate and spend easily. Most women are not satisfied with that. Men had to be considerate of women's needs. Even after spending, let them do their things. That is the way to happy sex life. I started with kissing her from mouth to legs and up to her mouth again. I kissed her on the chin and came down to her throat. Slowly kissing her, I removed her outerwear. She was in her bra. I kissed her on the valley of her breast. I moved her bra up and kissed her on her breasts. Using my lips I kissed her nipple. They were small. I came down to her stomach and kissed her on her navel. Slowly kissing her, I moved her panties down, exposing her bushy hair and then her vagina. Completely removing her panties, I sat between her legs. With the tongue, I parted her vagina lips and put my tongue inside her vagina. It smelled wonderful there. After finding it wet there, I sat on her and entered her. After I found her satisfied, I rolled aside. We dozed off for some time. Later in the evening, she took me for a dinner at a fancy restaurant. We came back to her house and watched some TV. Later we retired to her bedroom. There we started where we left off. This I started from her back. I disrobed her and went behind her. Cupping her breasts, I penetrated her from behind. I fucked her doggy style. Having spent, I dozed off for some time. She awoke me after 2 hours. We went down and had a coffee and a light snack and went back to her room. We had our final act together. I laid her on the bed and I sat on her with my penis near her mouth and my mouth on her cunt. We used our mouths on each other this way for 5 minutes. Then she sat on me and she inserted my penis in her vagina and she was moving up and down. When she was satisfied, she rolled onto the bed and slept beside me. We kissed and said good night to each other and slept. In the morning she dropped me off near where I was staying. I had not invited her in and she had not insisted to come in. Next year I returned to Hyderabad for my final year exams. We used to exchange letters and once in a while talked on the phone. Then I had to go to the STD booth to call her. Our phone did not have an STD facility as it was department provided. Sometimes she used to call me. We kept in touch for a year like this. I called her saying I will be busy with exams for some time, I will be at my sister's place during the exams. At the time my sister was visiting Bombay pregnant with her son. Her mother-in-law was present in the house. One day I went to write the exam and Nandini came to my sister's place unexpectedly. I don't know what my sister's mother-in-law told her. When I learned that she came there, I called her. She talked distantly and said she will call later. When next time I called her, she had someone tell me that she was not available. I had my heart broken by this and returned to Bombay. She did not reply to my letters and had not taken my calls. As time passed, I decided, she dumped me on someone filling her ears and tried to forget her, getting myself busy by continuing my work in typing and shorthand lessons and practice. We also had our evening cricket practice for time pass. Our cricket team. We had a cricket team called the horror team. One of the members, Ramesh, is crazy about horror movies. Whenever someone's house was available to empty, we used to get a VCR player and some VCR tapes and watch movies. Mostly we used to watch horror and mild porn, 2x comedy movies. We did not like hardcore porn. So, Ramesh named our team the horror team. There is no horror about our team. We are all ordinary players having a good time playing cricket. We are all students from our colony except two. Rakesh was working in telecom as a lineman and another fellow was working as a draftsman. Rakesh's work used to be fixing telephone lines. So, he used to have some extra income. Sometimes we used to pool money and used to go to Churchgate or Churney Road and surrounding areas to have drinks parties. After some time one member of our team, Sandeep, shifted to their flat in the Lokhandwala complex. Sandeep came to visit us one day. After our match practice, we sat on a cement bench and were chit-chatting. When asked about his new home, Sandeep told us about how he had sex with his maid. When no one was present in his house, he called her to his room and took her in his hands and kissed her. He pressed her boobs, made her undress and had sex with her. He made her take his penis into her mouth and made her give him a blowjob. Later he penetrated her and had sex with her. I don't know much about what happened with him as we have not met him again. Once our team members decided to go to Mud Island for a picnic. It was on a Saturday. We had Marathi, Bengali, Kannada and Gujarati guys and myself went to Mud Island for an overnight trip. In our group, we had me, Ramesh, Uday, Sandeep and Vipul Bhatt. We started with hardcloth bedsheets, a battery-operated radio cassette player, extra batteries, towels and some clothes. We brought beers, cigarettes for myself and some food items to Borivali and caught a launch boat at Borivali. After getting down from launch, we went to the beach for a walk. On the way we were drinking beer, listening to songs, jumping and overall merrymaking. We reached the beach and rented a shack on the seashore. We put our things there and changed into swimwear, i.e. shorts. We put the beer in the water to keep it cool. We swam for some time and generally enjoyed ourselves. We came out of the water, toweled ourselves and sat to have a beer while listening to music. When the beer finished, the shack owner arranged for us some more whiskey and beer and went away. We were drinking and eating the eatable we bought along into the night. As the darkness ascended, Vipul flung his shorts and started to dance naked. All stood up and started dancing, laughing at him. Maybe hearing this commotion, 4 girls walked towards us. I said hi, and after introductions, we offered them beer and whiskey. They took them willingly. They also ate some non-veg items we brought. They started selecting one of the boys. The first girl took the Sandeep. He was of good height and with a good physique. A short girl chose Vipul, he was also short. Uday refused to have anything to do with girls, he was a little conservative. A girl a little overweight and of good height chose Ramesh, who is like her. And the short and round-faced, medium slim girl with spectacles is left for me. They all started kissing and generally feeling each other. It is generally dark with not much lighting except for the fire we started. One by one they went to the shack to enjoy themselves. It was my turn at last. I took my girl to the shack and started by kissing her on the mouth. I asked her if she has any reservations, so she could express herself. I inquired her if she is doing this for their friends or if she is doing it out of her free will. If she felt she was doing this for her friends, else she will ridicule her. She said she was okay with everything and wanted to see how it would be. Her friends had told her a lot about it. She wanted to experience it for herself. So, I started to gently kiss her and see her reaction. She was responding well by kissing back. I gave her all kinds of pleasures available, without actually having sex. I don't want her to lose her virginity there and she would have something to tell her friends. My pen friends. Once I was in Hyderabad, one of my pen pals, Sheila, asked to meet her. She asked me to meet at a theatre. I went and waited for some time. She has not come to meet me. She had my photo and I have not seen her. I decided to go have some tea. Found a restaurant and sat down, had my daily cup of tea and came out. Then she and her friend approached me saying that she was scared that I went away. She was watching from a little distance. I said I am just having a cup of tea. She introduced her friend as Smitha. Sheila was fair, around 5 feet, with a pleasant face. Smitha was a little dark. They took me to another theatre in an auto. I was sitting in the center of the auto rickshaw and the two girls were sitting on each side. She took the tickets and we went inside and sat down. The girls were sitting on either side. Now I was in a dilemma. Which of the girls was my real pen pal? I touched each of them in turn. Their reaction was the same. So, I decided both the girls have come with the same thought of having some fun. It does not matter who is who. Each of the girls I fingered for a little while with each. After the movie they wanted to have dosa. They took me to Koti, where they had dosa and I had ice cream. We have dosas regularly at home and they only eat dosa at hotels. Then they asked what is next. I said close by I have a room, we can go there. They have agreed to come with me. We took an auto and reached my room. It has a separate side entrance so as not to disturb the other tenants who are all students. We went inside the room and I had my first threesome with the girls. I was a little partial to the fair girl, who was my pal, and I have not left the dark girl wanting for anything. First, I put my hands on both their shoulders and started to kiss each other in turn. I asked them to remove their outer garments. One was wearing a frock, other was in a churida pajama. Now they both were in their inner garments. Now I kissed in turns each of them on the tops of the breasts. I felt them being aroused and asked them to remove their innerwear and sleep on the bed, leaving some space in between. I removed my dress and lay down between them face down and started to lick their small breasts in turns. While my fingers were caressing their vaginas, I let them have their pleasures this way. After some time, I asked them if anyone want penetration sex and they said no, they had enough pleasure. After that, I told them to wear their clothes and left them at the bus stop. My first job. After completing my degree, I joined a company as a stenotypist. I was working with the regional manager but did not have my own typewriter. First, I used to type with a typewriter belonging to another company, and when modifications to the side room were made, I could not enter their office. I used to ask others to let me type on their typewriters. The company has a lot of Catholics in the management and staff. The VP of marketing has a Parsi girl purses as steno. I used to keep in touch with all the stenos and the telephone operator, generally with all the girls working there. I used to inquire about their previous experiences and generally chat and gossip with them. This way I used to get to know all the information about the company and what is happening in their departments. It is not that I was pals with all the girls in the company. When I joined I got a salary of 800 rupees. When I went to collect my first salary, those days we used to get cash. The cashier lady looked at me like I was drawing pittance. I just ignored her. She was not on my friend list. It was my first full-time job and I never thought money was everything. I even worked in the evening data entry jobs for a little money. For typing purposes, I used to go to Persis. She is a little older than me and a little plump. But she was very fair and has Parsi looks. She used to talk to me very sweetly. I used to go to her whenever I have something to type. I had to butter her to get her to type for me or let me type on her typewriter. The company president's butler used to tell me to take her out on a date. We have offices on the same floor. I could never get the courage to ask her out, and over that, I would not know where to take her out. Later she was shifted to the accounts department. I had lost touch with her. I used to learn shorthand at an institute. When the owner was not available, he used to put me in charge of shorthand tests and generally look out for the students. One of the girls, Padmini, had trouble with the typewriter and I helped her and made a small joke about her typing. This joking happened twice or thrice. One day she cornered me outside in the gully. Her friend was with her. She started telling me that her family was trying to fix her marriage as if I were in love with her and we were together for some time. At first, I was shocked. Both of the girls start pressurizing me. I had previously been talking to Sahiti from the same institute and was dropping off her at her house after finishing the typing. She was not coming to the institute for some time. After thinking hard and being burdened with the pressure of those two girls, I agreed to her proposal, as until then I have not had a girlfriend. She took me to the movies, of course with my money. She used to take me to the beach and secluded places. She used to decide on those places. On Saturday afternoons we had half day. On Saturday she used to come to my office and wait outside for me to come out. At first, I was scared to touch her but she used to guide me to touch her boobs. I used to put my hand around her neck and reach into her boobs to press them. But she would not let me touch her cunt. If I put my hand on her thigh, she used to push it aside. One day when we were in a secluded place, one police jeep stopped and asked us about our details. I gave the details confidently, knowing they would not check with our parents. Even if they check, our parents would not have said anything. The police warned us not to stay in those places as it was not safe and went away. From then onwards we avoided that place. During this time, I came close to two guys, students of the institute, when we went to Mud Island for a picnic. We had a lot of fun and I became friends with these two guys. After a few days they told me a secret about that girl. She was dating a Muslim guy, who was running a chicken shop, and the guy's family had rejected her and they broke up. One day I wanted to check her intentions, went to a friend's house and was purposefully delayed. She had given me time to meet at the bus stop. When I returned from my friend's house, she already left. The next day evening she started shouting at me for not meeting her in time. She was shouting that she was scared and whatnot. After prolonged tongue crashing, she broke up with me and stopped attending the typing institute. I thought good riddance. After meeting her, I used to see all bad omens. If she meets me on the way to the office, I could not get the bus in time and had to go a roundabout way. By taking 2 buses and a train. Over that, she was not much pretty. She had a small mouth like a mouse. She used to dress semi-fashionably, but when she wears that yellow t-shirt, I used to hate it. I thought good riddance. My first promotion. After some time, our AVP called me. He came to know about my talent from the branch manager. He wanted a person who does not look at the time when given work and works to his timing. Specifically, he wanted a dependable and hardworking person. And the girls want to work fixed hours and don't want to stay back after 6. He offered me his PA post and said he will recommend an increment. Throughout the day he used to give me dictation. I had little time to type. In between, he used to take calls, which used to run at least half an hour. I used to work later to finish up the typing. But the stint with the AVP was short-lived and he was sent to Delhi on deputation. He went willingly as he was originally from Delhi. I worked with him for 2 weeks. When he left I had pending letters, which took me a week to clear. He was transferred and I was left to work with the VP of Marketing. VP gave me additional charge of auditing collections and outstandings. He already had another steno Joyce working for him. She is a little dark and round-faced, around 5 feet in height. She used to wear a very costly Rolex watch, someone told me. Once Joyce asked me to accompany her and her friends to a movie. I had one of my friends book the tickets and we went to watch the movie. Later when I asked her to go to a movie she refused and rebuked me for asking. She wanted someone to give her company when her friend and her boyfriend wants to go to the movies. Later I was away at another branch. I used to go to their office every day, but once I went to meet her at her table, she told me not to come to meet her as her boss is reprimanding her about me. Then I understood that I was gaining popularity with the management as a ladies' man and her boss had scared her not to talk to me. This title I got this without doing anything. I was doing my work and helping my colleagues. I thought this might be the reason the management shunted me to the branch. Later Joyce's boss shifted his office to another branch and took her away with him. That's when I lost contact with her. Once I met her at Kandivali station. I was going to my office and she was catching a train there to go to the office. She talked very sweetly to me and inquired how I was doing. I politely replied to her and went to my office. Until I was with the company, I never met her again, nor saw her after. My fist crush. When I was working with the branch in the Ho in general operations. There I took a liking to a girl. Most of the staff there were Catholics. Many girls were sitting at the counter and 1 or 2 boys working the night shift. One girl was Deirdre. She was 5 feet 8 inches, fair and smart, and had a boyfriend. I used to speak to her but cordially. Another girl, Sandy, was pretty, with a round face, around 5 feet, and was living in a hostel as her parents were away abroad. I used to help her with her work and I picked a lot of customer care information, which I used to pass on whenever she needed it. Without looking at manuals, I used to give information about services to particular places available or not. I have studied the contracts made with credit customers. One day she insulted me on a trivial matter and I decided to work from my office on the 2nd floor. Unknown to me at the time, she was going out with a guy from a different department. He was 6 feet and good looking. On Monday morning they both came to the office together and she was wearing a mini skirt and a top that was flaring, indicating they were spending Saturday and Sunday together. Immediately she went to the toilets and changed into something presentable. But unfortunately, he dumped her later and she left the company heartbroken. I did not feel anything for her, only sorry. My first Catholic wedding. Then a new set of marketing executives were appointed and a new customer service department was set up. One of the new girls, it was her first job, was a little dark, slim and has a fresh face, a beautiful looking girl. Once she showed me her house, it was near the church. We both used to go back home together on the same bus. I used to buy her ticket frequently. Once she invited me to one of the staff members' marriage. It was a Catholic marriage in a church. She told me to come to the bus stop around 7:30 p.m. I did not have any suits which normally worn in those marriages. I am not aware of this at the time. It was my first attendance at a church marriage. So, I wore what I had kurta pajama and kolhapuri chappal, which I brought for my sister's marriage. I went to the bus stop 10 minutes early. I waited for some time, but she did not turn up. I went to her house and waited for some time outside and returned to the bus stop. She was more than half an hour late. We went to the church, no one has arrived from the bride and groom's side. Some more members of the office staff arrived. We wandered around for some time. Later the wedding started. There was a toast with wine. Later dance floor was set up. As this church prohibits the serving of liquor, none was served. I had not enjoyed the marriage, as I could not dance with them in my dress and my chappal. From then on, she kept a little distance from me, maybe she thought I was not her type. Even though she was Kannada Hindu, she must have been brought up with Catholic friends. She attends Mahim Church Wednesday novena. If the other person was not interested, I will not follow them, that is my attitude. However, as she had another set of friends, I had not bothered her again. I kept my distance as a colleague. When she required my assistance with clients and collections, I was helping her generally, taking her to clients and doing collections for her. There was another woman sales executive. She was fair and a little plump but not fat, with a good height. Another girl was very dark and she took a liking to me after I accidentally touched her boob. They used to take me to client meetings, for the collection of checks, etc. We used to go to L&T Povai in a rickshaw. I used to sit between her and another girl. I was always excited by touching girls and used to enjoy my trips. There were some girls from customer care. When they joined, I gave them orientation. One girl used to talk to me when I ever meet her, even after I left the company. She used to meet me sometimes at the Pale station bus stop. She used to take the same bus as I was. I was courteous with her, giving them the respect she deserves. I was generally on talking terms with most of the girls. My local friends. I had 2 friends from the typing institute, another 2 were his friends from the same colony. They all used to stay in the same building. Raj is Sindhi and Krishna is Maharashtrian from Goa. Raj's friends were Sekhar and Harry. Mostly Raj, Krishna and I used to go smoking. Krishna did not smoke but used to be with us. Once Krishna was returning from Goa, he booked a seat on a bus. He brought a beer bottle before getting on the bus. When he found a lady sitting in his seat with a girl sitting beside her, he fought with the lady to vacate the seat and made her go to some other seat. The lady was not related to the girl, she was only trying to avoid going to the last seat. After sitting, he started hitting the bottle he brought with him. He started small talk with the girl beside her and found that she is working as a nurse in Bombay. After the lights went out, he started fingering her. He started touching her breasts. He took a bedsheet and both of them put the bedsheet on their bodies. She had her top loosened and he had his pants unzipped. She was giving him a hand job and he was fingering her boobs. Next, he reached under her skirt and started touching her cunt. As the bus was traveling fast, their sounds were not heard by others, or maybe they ignored them. She was giving him a hand job and he was fingering her cunt. This went on for some time until both of them are satisfied. She gave him her number. Later he went to meet her. They went someplace to have a good time. Krishna learned AC repairing and was working with a company for servicing air conditioners. One day he went to her house for servicing. There he found a lady with a cleft lip. She is coming on him, as everyone rejects her. He told her to his other friend and gave him her phone number to Raj. After calling her, Raj took her to our recently vacated house. Later when we handed over our house, he took her to Mud Island. Sekhar asked him to let her have her, and Raj refused. To take revenge on him, Sekhar took her to Mud Island to enjoy her. When I asked them why are fighting over her, Raj said her speciality was giving blowjobs. This affair ended there. Later Raj took a liking to a girl from Mithibai College. When he first saw her, she was wearing white churida pajamas. He named her Chandani from the Chandani movie. He used to call us to the college canteen so he could see her and we would be there for moral support. He used to go to Gurdwara to pray for her and used to take us with him. He was obsessed with her. She was a Punjabi girl, Neetu Khanna. He even gate-crashed their college's annual function. By hook or crook, he got us entry to the function after 1.5 hours, just to see her. He used to call us to the canteen, so we will be present for moral support. However, through some friends, he made friends with her and went to her house, making friends with her mother using his Punjabi background. He went to their housing complex for Dashehra Navratri Garba dance performances. Halfway through the Garba, he wanted to have drinks. We went to a nearby bar. Unknown to us, the bar was a dance bar. Once we saw what it was, we had a drink and rushed off. When her mother came to know went to the bar, she scolded him. When Chandani finally became friendly with Raj, she told him that she likes another boy there from college and they had some differences and he does not talk to her bow. Now Raj took it upon himself to bring them together. He befriended Uday through some common friends and at last convinced him to take her back. After some convincing, Uday agreed to be back with Chandani. When they came back together, Chandani filled Uday's ears and took him away from our group. So, the story of Chandani ended that way for Raj. He was behind another Maharashtrian girl, Vaishali. She used to like him. But he was not giving her much importance and in the lookout for new girls. After 2 to 3 years, when I went to the reception of our office, Vaishali was sitting there and speaking to my colleague with tears in her eyes. She was crying and wanted to end her life. She was crying that she loved Raj and he is not responding to her. As I know both of them, I gave some advice and counseling and sent her away. She came back after 2 days. I took her to our other friends, we consoled her and told her to forget him as Raj is not worth the trouble. He is not the marrying type, I am sure his parents would not approve. I said, just forget him and marry the person your parents approve of. We have seen him with one girl after another, none would give him any space. My promotion to branch in charge. When I was given independent charge of a branch and sent to Kandivali. First Jayachandram was marketing executive for our branch. When he resigned, Mahira was sent as marketing executive to our branch, she had previous experience. Mahira used to come with me to the branch and I used to take her to the clients around the area of our branch. We went to many existing and potential clients. We used to go around in Kandivali industrial area. She used to talk sweetly to me. She has the habit of saying so sweet in appreciation of others' actions. She was not much pretty but average looking. She became close to me professionally. We were not dating or anything. We used to smoke together. Due to her, my smoking increased. I used to have controlled smoking. There was a restaurant near Andheri station, where we used to meet and smoke and discuss things. Once we were sitting in our office, a call came. My assistant Anthony took the call. He was Catholic and used to talk sweetly with a low tone. It was a wrong number but he spoke to her sweetly and for a prolonged time. She used to call him once in a while and he used to speak to her for a long time. He was already married, but he used to say he was separated from his wife. Once when he was away I took the call. She also spoke to me for a long time. I asked her what she was doing. She said she is doing her second-year degree at Mithibai College. I said I regularly visit the college, in fact, I was doing my ICWA course at Nanometer College, these two colleges were on the same campus. She agreed to meet me at Pale station. We had a whole gang waiting for her. Our friends consist of both boys and girls. Seeing our friends, she must have been scared and did not approach us and she never called again. When Anthony decided to celebrate his marriage anniversary, he called us to his house. He said that he and his wife were not together and wanted to celebrate their anniversary so they can come together. At the party he had drunk heavily. Instead of patching up with his wife, he was found proposing to Mahira. I liked his wife's sister Maria and invited her to come to visit us. Our office was near the station. If she had to go to the station, she had to pass our office. She visited our office after 2 weeks. I sent other boys for collections and locked the glass door and took her to the inside room. If anyone comes, it looks as if the office was closed. Inside we had a sofa. There we started having a go. I was angry at Anthony for proposing to Mahira. I wanted to take revenge and did not tell him about this. Then one day Anthony went away to Saudi. He got a job there and went away on a fine day. When the accounts department was auditing, they found some payments were not submitted. Anthony, when taking the payments to her, used to withhold some vouchers and not submit cash. When the accounts checked the actual voucher with the submitted vouchers, the discrepancy was deducted. Due to this I was shifted back to her and was given a second shift in branch operations. There used to be another guy who used to work in her operations. We used to clash about work and procedures. He is the type who fills the ears of bosses. One day I took Mahira to meet a client who had some problems with pickups. I had visited the previous day and the security said there were no pickups. We went there and sorted the things. As their security was responsible, they accepted the mistake and took back the complaint. But the management has taken this in a very bad way and asked Mahira to resign immediately. After that, finding the second shift was giving me problems with my studies, I was doing my ICWA and I had classes in the evening. I also resigned giving a month's notice. Our first business venture. I and Mahira used to meet at the restaurant near the station. Mahira said we should start a courier company. She had a friend in the Nashik courier company. He would get us clients. I had some money saved and nothing else to do, so I agreed. She had some friends in Nashik and Pure and she was proposing to bring courier services between these cities. We went to Nashik and set up a small office. We had a function at my house for starting the company. We had a departmental phone and she wanted our address to be used for the Bombay office. She has invited all the managers from our previous company. Unfortunately, I could not meet them, as I had to go to a meeting with a client. I was delayed to reach the party. I reached home after everyone left. Later she told me that she called the assistant in Saudi and told him about starting the company. He was jealous and congratulated us if it is not the company we set up, as if we were engaged. I did not know what to make of the conversation. Either she was telling me about him becoming jealous or she wants me to propose to her. I was attracted to her but not so much in love to propose to her. I have a mental block when it comes to proposing to a girl. Words would not come. We also tried to offer other products through our company. We prepared pamphlets. She wanted to offer small fire extinguishers, which can be used by office cabins and cars. One of her friends manufactures them and she offered to take the dealership for them. We used to go together to meet clients. She engaged one of her friends as a receptionist. The receptionist used to sit on the telephone and used to call full day. Only some were business calls. When my mother saw the receptionist making calls for a full day, she complained after 2 days. We used to go meet with clients. She took me to meet her friends asking for help with the company. Then we made several trips to Nashik. We had taken an office with a room on monthly rent for our office. We had an office with a phone and a room in the back to sleep in the night whenever we visited. I was stationed there for 2 months and she used to come once in a while to visit me. We used to go meet clients during the day and used to sleep in the room attached to our office at night. I had a single cot with a mattress there. I also had an extra cotton mattress, so the courier boys can sleep there. Whenever Mahira visited, I used to let her sleep on the cot and I used to sleep on the mattress on the floor. On the first day, we went to visit the client list provided by our friend. Then we went for dinner and returned to our room. The first day, as we were going from client to client full day, we were fully tired and went to bed early and had a sound sleep. On the second day, we went and visited Taparia Steel. They manufacture wrenches and tools. Their factory was nice. They were having piped music. First time I have seen a place where pipe music ran, creating a pleasant environment. That day she borrowed my blue and black striped t-shirt. Normally, I use it for the winter cold. As it was winter, the nights were very cold. Cold wind used to blow from small crevice of the windows. A blanket was not sufficient to contain the cold. After some time, she came down and slept beside me, saying it was very cold. We combined both blankets and shared them. At first, we slept with our backs to each other. As was my habit, I turned around and put my hand on her hip in sleep. She took my hand and wrapped it around her chest. As I could feel her boobs under my hand, I felt a little twinge in my loins. I pressed myself closer to her. My pelvic region was touching her ass. My penis was burrowed into the middle of her ass. A small sound escaped from her mouth. She pressed my hand to her chest. I pressed her boob a little. She moaned a little. I pressed her another boob. Now she turned towards me and kissed me on the mouth. My hand now was on her ass, pressing a little. We played with our tongues a little. I brought my hands to the front of her and started removing the buttons of her shirt. Her bra-clad boobs were visible. She made me turn on my back and sat on me and removed her shirt. Now her bra filled with her breast was visible. I touched her on the top of the breasts and slightly pressed them. She released a slight moan. I moved the straps of the bra to the sides and brought the bra down. Now her breasts were fully visible. I pressed them with the tips of my fingers. I pressed the nipples, and in reaction, she arched backwards. I loosened the thread of the pajamas. I slid the hand inside the pajamas to her underwear. I touched the area above her cunt. She got up and removed her pajamas and sat down on me again. I had on my lingi, which could easily be pushed aside. I again touched her breast and started pressing them. She came down on me and reached my lips. I turned her aside and laid her face up and sat on my knees beside her. I started kissing her breasts. With my lips, I was milking her nipples. Then I reached down and started kissing her stomach, her navel and her pelvic region. Finally, I went and sat between her legs and started fingering her cunt with my tongue. I parted the lips of her vagina and put my tongue inside. She left a moan with pleasure. It was very sweet smelling there. After some time, I slept with her and she helped me to put my penis inside her. I started to move rhythmically while milking her boobs with my mouth. I was spent and rolled over. I reached for a cigarette and lit it. I took a drag and she took it from me and took a drag and gave it back to me. We finished the cigarette in silence. We dozed off in each other's arms. The cold was forgotten. We went into a sound sleep with the help of double blankets. The next day was a Sunday. We wanted to spend the day relaxing. We got up, I took a bath and we went for breakfast. After breakfast, we returned to the room, looked at some papers and decided to go for an afternoon movie. We went to the theater, took tickets, went to a nearby restaurant, had our lunch and then watched the movie. Came out of the movie, had our evening tea and went back to the room. She wanted to take bath. We did have a water heater but no shower. She filled the bucket with hot water and called me to give her some shampoo. I took the shampoo to her and asked, "Can I come in?" I went inside. She was removing her outer clothes. She removed them and put them on a clothesline. Now she was in her innerwear. I stood there for a minute and I looked at her. Seeing her in the night lamp light and seeing her in the evening light was different. I felt something move inside my heart. I moved forward and kissed her on the lips. She responded by kissing back. We kissed each other for some time using our lips and tongues. I put my hand behind her and pressed her ass and pulled her towards me. My penis was touching her just below her navel. She removed her inner garments and put them on the clothesline. I was just staring at her. It was the first time for me to see her fully naked under the light. I put my mouth on her nipple and bit slightly with my teeth. Then I sat down on my knees and put my mouth on her cunt and fingered her with my tongue. She caught my hair and pressed my head closer to her. After 2 minutes, I got up and turned her around. I took my penis and inserted it under her ass into her cunt. I caught her hip and started to move slowly. She started moving rhythmically to my movement. After we were spent, we had a bath together rubbing each other's backs. Came out and dressed, discussing where to go for dinner. After half an hour she received a call from her home to come to Bombay on an urgent matter. I took her to the bus stand and she left for Bombay. Later one of our courier boys from Bombay brought some documents and parcels to be delivered to Nashik. As we arranged with her friend in Nashik who was working in a courier company, I made arrangements for parcels to be delivered by their boys. The boy went back to Bombay by train. We arranged for him to have a monthly pass to travel between Bombay and Nashik. I also had a quarterly pass purchased when we decided to start the branch. Next time she came with some documents to be delivered. This time, she said she could not stay for more than a day, as she had some work to be carried out in Bombay. We went and had chat with her friend from the courier company and took him to lunch. After handing over the documents to him, we returned to our office cum room. We went through our plans and she had documents for me to sign for setting up the company, which she had to submit to the registrar the next day. We went out and had tea and snacks and came back. She packed her bag and was ready to leave. We had a quickie, and then I took her to the railway station and sat her on a train. That was the last I saw her for some time. We were talking about the business on the phone. Boys were coming and going. One day the courier boy gave me the shocking news. She was going steady with a guy. He was her ex and she left him then as he became addicted to drugs. Now he came back to her saying he will leave the drugs and will be a good boy, and she accepted his proposal and they were going steady. After hearing this, a local boy was in charge of the office and went back to Bombay. By this time, I have used up all the savings. I went and met her at our regular restaurant. She was sitting with her new boyfriend, placing her hands around his neck, her chest was touching his hand and his back. She behaved as if nothing happened between us. I told her, I will be here for some time, as I have to attend my ICWA classes which I missed for some time. With no money in hand, I used to do some odd work to earn spending money. One day she called me and gave me some money to go and close our office in Nashik. I went and closed our office, gave some money to the boy and came back to Bombay. Slowly, I started moving away from her. By now we also shifted from that area and shifted to another posh colony where higher management officials were living. It was in Wadala, the center of the city far from her place. I used to do some odd jobs. I worked at the type institute for some time. Then I worked with the man who repairs the typing machines. Then one day typing institute owner got 2 computers. He wanted to teach computers in his institute and arranged for a computer teacher. He was not getting many students. He sent me to get some data entry work from his friend's company. His friend was HR manager there. I went to the concerned department, it was purchasing debt, and said so and so sent me for the data entry work they were having. The manager said they could not give the work to be taken outside and it has to be completed in-house. I took up the work of data entry. When the work was completed, they gave me accounting data entry. I started slowly showing what can be improved and got entry into the EDP debt. There another guy was working as a data entry operator. I worked hard and learned programming by studying books. I showed the management some improvements in the programming and maintenance of the equipment, and after a while they appointed me as EDP coordinator. Then after I developed new software for them and they promoted me to EDP manager. My manager posting. Once our factory workers had arranged for a musical program in an auditorium. We purchased tickets for the show. We went to the program. Madhuri Dixit's song, Mera Piya Ghar Aaya, was just released. One girl had brilliantly danced to the song. That was the highlight of the evening. One girl from the accounts depth was sitting beside me. She was Gujarati, and around 5 feet 2 inches in height, fair and with a round face. The next day I shifted her to my department citing some problem with her system. She worked for 2 weeks there. Then our chief accountant had her shifted back to her department. Once our office people have arranged for an overnight picnic at Mud Island. As Saturday was a holiday and Sunday we normally have a holiday. They thought that 2 days trip would be nice. We all collected money from the staff members who wants to go to the picnic. We rented a minivan and went to Mud Island. We booked rooms and arranged for cooking by the staff. We went to the beach for swimming. I wore a short and went further into the sea. Generally, I don't know about swimming but could handle myself in the water. There was a recently joined girl, she was Catholic and thin. She wore a single-piece swimsuit. She also came along with us and was swimming with us. Some people were swimming at the edge of the sea. We went further and the water is safe on Mud Island. While she was swimming, I dived into the water and pulled her from the under. The first time she was scared. Next time she took it playfully. We swam together playfully enjoying the water. After 1 hour of swimming, we came out of the water and had our bath. Later we had lunch with others. After an hour we decided to take a walk on the beach. We walked for 15 minutes when we found our group has disappeared. We sat down near a clump of trees. We were talking for some time. She was asking about me and my family, and where I was staying. I told her the details and we were talking for some time. I decided to take initiative and put my hand on her shoulder. She moved a little closer to me. I turned my face towards her and kissed her on the cheek. She responded by turning her face and kissing me on the mouth. We kissed for some time. I put my hand under her shirt and pressed her boobs. They were small and compact. I fingered her nipple which stood up. We enjoyed ourselves for some time and returned to our group. When asked, we told them we just went for a walk on the sand as we felt a little heavy in the stomach after lunch. In the evening we had some games and dances with the group. We slipped outside when someone asked where are you going? Just for a walk, I said. We went a little further and chose an empty cottage and asked for a room. They obliged as the rooms were not occupied by anyone. I paid for them and got the keys. We went inside the room and started kissing. Later we removed our dresses and fingered each other. She gave me a blowjob and in turn, I licked her fresh pussy simultaneously pressing her boobs. When she was ready, she asked me to enter her. I made her sit on her knees and bend forward and enter from behind. Her pussy was tight and moist. I removed my penis before ejaculation as I don't want to leave my semen in her. Next, I turned her around and start playing with her pussy until she is satisfied. We spent some time resting and returned to our group. My business travels. As a manager, I had the privilege to travel by AC coach or by air. For going to Delhi, I used to prefer going by Rajdhani Express. If I wanted to go to Madras, I prefer air travel. For Delhi, if we sit around 4 PM it reaches Delhi by 9 am. I could go to hotel and freshen up and go to the office by 11 am. I used to visit the branches for updating the software or problems with the servers or systems. Sometimes I had to go at a moment's notice, then I used to go by air. Once I have booked on the Rajdhani Express in AC sleeper 2-tier coach. I got seat number 1 lower berth. I checked the list put up outside the door. The next seat was given to a lady 27 years of age. Her name was listed as Lovreen Khanna. I went in and sat down on my seat. The coupe was just 2 berths and no doors, only a curtain on the front. As the train was about to start, Lovreen came and sat beside me. I asked if this was your seat, and she replied yes. She was 5 feet 3 inches in height and with a slim figure and seems to be from a good family and is semi-fashionable and did not have too much makeup. She would be beautiful without any makeup. She seemed the ideal girl to take home to your mother. After chatting for some time, I told her I was going to Delhi for office work and she said she was going there for attending some function. During chatting I told her I will be staying in a hotel in Noida Sector 1. She said she will be at Noida Sector 22 at her relative's place. We spent talking until 10 in the night. We dozed off sitting for some time. She had placed her head on my shoulder and was sound asleep. After letting her sleep for some time, I shook her lightly and asked her if she wanted to go to sleep, and she said yes. I said I will sleep on the upper berth and she could sleep on the lower berth. I took my bedsheet and blanket and arranged them on the top berth. She arranged her bedsheet on the lower berth. We kissed goodnight and I went up and slept. The next morning, we woke up and exchanged our numbers. I gave her my hotel number, I was a frequent visitor there, and my office number, and she gave me her relative's number. We got down at the station and we took a cab together. I dropped her off at Sector 22 and went to my hotel. After 2 days, Loveleen called me at the office to inquire about how long I will be in Delhi. I said at least a week as upgrading of the systems and software to be done. She asked me if I would like to attend the marriage function to be held the next night. I said I would be free at night. She said she will introduce me as a friend from Noida. I said sure. I went there the next night wearing a suit. By this time, I have improved my wardrobe. I carry a suit or two for attending meetings. I went to the marriage. It was a Punjabi marriage. Everyone at the marriage hall was very friendly. Punjabi people are generally very friendly. At functions they are super friendly. There was liquor, non-veg food, snacks, everything. One boy around 20 years of age started hanging around me. Loveleen must have told him to look after me. I had some drinks, had some snacks, enjoyed myself thoroughly. Later on, we had dinner. When the function was completed, I was ready to go to my hotel room. She asked can she come to my room tomorrow. I said certainly, as I had a premonition and had booked a double room this time by saying my wife will join me later. As a policy, the hotels do not allow guests in single rooms. The rooms would be the same, we have to book for single or double occupancy. I have expected something like this will happen and took precautions of booking a double occupancy. The next day morning I took a cab and picked her up and took her to my room. I told her to freshen up and order room service if she needs anything. I will be back soon after attending to a matter at the office. As I had to go to the Delhi office for an important matter, which I could not postpone, I said I will return as soon as possible. I went to the office and took an office car and went to Delhi. There I had a meeting with the vendors about upgrading systems for both Delhi and Noida. I gave specific instructions, whatever was needed. Signed the contracts for requirements, came back to Noida in the office car and told the driver to drop me at the hotel. I went inside the hotel, and the receptionist handed me the key to the room and said my wife went out shopping. I went to my room and freshened up and ordered some tea and waited for her. Loveleen came after an hour with a handful of bags. She brought for her and me some clothes and other things. By that time it was 5 p.m. We sat on the balcony and had tea and chatted for some time. When it was 8 p.m., she wore a sari and we went to the restaurant in the hotel. There I ordered some drinks and some snacks to eat with the drinks. We spent around 1.5 hours chatting and drinking. After completing our drinks, we took buffet meals. They have a good selection of items in the buffet. Rather than ordering separate items, it was good to select the items available in the buffet. After dinner, we had a little walk outside and back to our room by 11 p.m. We spent some time watching TV. We decided to retire to bed. Once on the bed, we started taking things slowly, as if we have all the time in the world. We started by kissing, which went on for infinity. We forgot the time as if the time froze. Slowly I started coming down and kissed her on the chin. Then down to her throat. Slowly down to her chest. I went over slowly by her blouse and kissed her stomach. Then I reached her navel. Then I moved down to her legs and started to come slowly up by lifting her sari and petticoat. I reached her knee and went on pushing her sari up over the thighs and continued kissing her. When I reached her pelvic region, I removed the pin holding her sari and pulled the sari aside. Reached for her petticoat knot and pulled it, releasing her petticoat. I pulled the petticoat down, exposing her underwear. Now I went up slowly and released the buttons on her blouse. I removed her blouse, exposing her bra. Now I started kissing the exposed part of my breast. I put my hands behind her and unclipped her bra and slowly released her bra from her body, exposing her breasts. In the dim light, they looked divine. Slowly pressing her breasts, I put my mouth to her nipple. She was moaning a little. I removed my clothes and sat beside her. She was sleeping face up on her back. I kissed her again on the mouth. Slowly kissing her, I came down and reached her navel. Now I pushed her panty down and kissed her on the cunt. Slowly removing her panties, I was moving down with my mouth, and I completely removed her panty. Now slowly kissing her, I came up to her cunt. I pushed my tongue through the lips of her vagina. She arched backwards with pleasure. I separated and bent her legs, so her cunt will be exposed. Now going deep into her vagina with my tongue and started moving it inside. Now sitting on my knees, I started moving from her cunt to her stomach, breasts, and throat and reached her lips. Now I touched my penis to her cunt. She guided me inside. I started a rhythmic movement of my hips and she matched it with her movement. Next, I made her turn over and made her sit on her knees. For the first time, I tried anal intercourse with her. I bought some Vaseline and applied it on her asshole. I slowly inserted it into her anal. Slowly I started pulling and pushing it into her anal. After 2 minutes I pulled it out and inserted it into her vagina and started a rhythmic movement of my hips while holding her hips. Having spent, I rolled over and put my head on the pillow. Now she started kissing my body. From mouth, she came down to chin to throat. Then she started kissing my chest. This went on for 2 minutes. By this time my penis started to get hard. Now she sat on me, guided my penis into her vagina and started moving up and down until she is satisfied. Spent, she rolled over and lay beside me. I took her into my arms and kissed her on the mouth. I got up, wore half pants and lit a cigarette and went and stood on the balcony smoking. I felt a little knot in my stomach as if something was bad about to happen. We went to sleep. I woke up around 4:30 a.m. to the sound of the phone ringing. It was from home and my father had a heart attack and was admitted to the hospital. They called me to come home immediately. Replacing the receiver on the hook, I asked Loveleen if she is coming to Bombay, and she replied yes. I called reception and told them to book 2 tickets to Bombay on the first available flight. They rang up and said a 7 a.m. flight will be available and they booked the tickets for me. I packed my bags and helped her pack her luggage. Asked the receptionist to send a boy in, went to the reception, signed the bill and paid by credit card and asked them to call for a cab. I tipped the boy who brought the bags and put them in the cab and rode to airport. Death of our father. I got down at the Santa Cruz airport. I booked her cab and sent her home and took a cab myself and reached home. When I reached home, I was told my father already expired and they will be handing over the body after post-mortem as is customary. Many of my father's friends and colleagues reached our home expressing condolences and waiting for the body to arrive. I called and informed her that my father is no more. She said she will come and visit as soon as possible. She was there within 2 hours. I introduced her to my mother, brother, sister and brother-in-law who have just reached Hyderabad. My brother is elder than me. He carried the lit pot. We reached the crematorium and my brother lit the fire and I was standing beside him. On the 3rd day, we went and collected the ashes and put them in a pot, which my brother and brother-in-law said will put in the Ganga river water. My boss and colleagues have come and visited and expressed condolences and asked for any help if required. I said okay. Later my friends came and visited. On the 11th day, we had the function. My father's brothers and sisters visited with families for the function. The previous day there was some mandatory puja and all. The day we performed puja and went to the seashore and performed the required puja there and returned. There were nearly 1,000 people who had come for the function. My father was very popular with his colleagues and all known people. After all the functions and everyone left for the night. As per the rules, nobody can stay the night except for close people. The next day my mother was asking about Loveleen. I told her, had met at some function and I like her. My mother called Loveleen and spoke to her for some time. As no functions can be performed for a year, my mother asked her if she is willing to wait for a year. She answered in the affirmative. Later I took her to her home and met her parents and spoke to them for some time. In the talks, it has come out that one of my friends was their relative and he is her cousin. They spoke to my friend, he spoke very highly of me and they agreed to our proposal and to wait for a year for the marriage date to be fixed. My married life. It was after 1 year of my father's death. We spent all available time together. 2 months after my father's death, we had to vacate the quarter and my mother went to live with my sister. I had taken a flat close to Loveleen's house, with the help of my friends. My brother went away reluctantly to live in a house he purchased in Ulhasnagar. Sometimes she used to accompany me on my tours. We used to spend Sundays and holidays together being with each other, enjoying each other's company. In 1 year, she tried several fields in working, finally deciding on interior decoration her field. She was working for a respectable firm and earning a reasonable income. I also started my own software firm with some friends, still working my job as a manager. 1 year breezed away in a jiffy. Our families sat together and fixed a date for marriage after 2 months. Then both our families started to make arrangements for the marriage. The important day arrived. Our relatives arrived from different places. We had made arrangements for their stay. The ceremony concluded with pomp and gaiety. We planned to go to Ooty for our honeymoon. We went to Chennai by train and proceeded to Ooty from there. We booked a cottage there. We spent 1 week there and returned to Bombay. We brought our own house and gave her an interior decoration job. She decorated the house to her liking. We had the housewarming ceremony 2 months after the wedding. In 2 to 3 months, we started to become busy with our work. I was busy with my job in my software company. We started to get projects for development. We had employed some developers and I was supervising the development work. My partner was involved in getting us new contracts and collections for the work completed. She was planning to start her own interior designing business with her friends. They were willing to invest in her running the show. Nowadays we were getting time to be together only on Sundays. That time also we used to spend 2 to 3 hours on the phone discussing our business needs. During the weekdays we used hardly spend any time together. Sex became irregular and routine. We discussed having children. She wanted to wait for someone to have her business up and running. We started to become distant with our careers taking our full attention. After 6 months of our growing apart, we realized what is happening and decided to spend more time together. We decided to a week's leave and plan for a tour. It took us 2 weeks for both of us to make arrangements and allot time for our tour. We decided to go to Goa. We took a flight and then a cab and reached the hotel. It was on the beachfront. We had our breakfast and went and sat on the beach. After some time, we decided to go into the water. We spent half an hour and came back to the room and had our bath. We ordered some room service and made some calls and inquiring about the work. We sat down to watch some TV. We cozied up to each other and start watching some movies. We were silently watching the movie with our thoughts. After finishing the movie, we readied and went to the restaurant for dinner. Our conversations were sparse. It was a clear indication that how far we grew. Having realized it ourselves, we started to discuss what need to be done. Just coming for the trip is clearly not working as much as we hoped. We decided to have a tour of the city and asked the desk to get us 2 tickets for the tour. We had a tour of the various places in Goa which culminated in the evening on the ship. We had some drinks, had a light dance and came back to our hotel. As we were totally spent, we had dinner, watched some TV and went to bed. I woke up, ordered some coffee, brushed my teeth and sat on the balcony with a cigarette. Halfway through my fag, she woke up and came into the balcony. We kissed and I offered her coffee. While sipping coffee and started discussing various things, about our work pressures and decisions about the future. As her business was up and running, she agreed to plan for the children finally. She agreed to stop the pills she was using and let the time take its course. After 6 months she gave me the good news that she was finally pregnant. The next Saturday we called for a party and called our contracts, employees and close relatives and friends. During the next few months, she started to cut down her work and started to work remotely depending on the phone to reach her and once in a while visiting clients. I decided to cut down the work and resigned from the job, offering them a contract to continue my work there uninterrupted. This way we readied ourselves to invite our new guest into our life. Birth of our children. On an auspicious day, our son arrived in this world. Both of our families visited us in the hospital. They were saying the baby has the looks of his mother. He looked like her, which seemed lucky. We named him Atul. After a month we arranged a party for Atul's arrival. Parties are considered necessary to meet people and increase our contracts. After our successful stint with our company, more people were interested to invest in us. We changed our firm from a partnership to a company with fresh investors. With fresh investment infusion, we are ready to branch out to other cities. We decided to start with Bangalore. We took office space for rent and started with the marketing division for the south. When our son was 4 years old, we had our second child, who was a baby girl. We named her Joylene and used to call her Joy. By now we started to have branches in major cities and development centers. We purchased the interior designing company from her partners and registered it as a private company. Now she appointed a CEO for the company and herself as chairperson. Now we can offer good schools for our children. We can provide them with all the luxuries they needed. The children had their own transportation, they had their own car with a driver to go to school and come back and wherever they want to go, like going to their grandparents. But we did keep them in our hearts. Not to let them feel neglected, we used to spend time with them, inquiring them daily about what is happening in their life. Generally keeping a close watch on their life. As they are growing up we kept a close watch on their friends. As friends are most influential in their life and they will have a lot of influence in their formative years, we started to make them treat us as friends. Giving advice whenever required, refraining when we felt they may not take our advice willingly. Our son Atul. Atul is now 15 years of age and in 10th grade. 10th grade is treated as a stepping stone for studies. It was based on the grades received in these exams. Future studies have to be determined. Our children attend the best schools available and attend tuition institutions if they felt they are behind in any subject. Most of the students' moods are reflected by their friends' moods. If the friends are scared of getting good grades, these children also suffer from the same moods. He wrote his exams. He was satisfied with the way the exams went. The next day all the friends decided to go for a picnic to relieve the pressures of the exam. The friends pooled up money, engaged in a van and went to Matheran. We don't know exactly what happened on the trip. One of his friends was dead, another friend was seriously injured and Atul was slightly injured. When we received the message, we rushed to Matheran. The injured were being treated in a hospital and the dead friend was sent to Bombay for post-mortem. Atul was only injured slightly but his mental injuries seemed severe. He has become mentally unstable and was looking around with a frightened look as if someone is behind him. We took him to Bombay and put him under the doctor's supervision. After 1 week he recovered from his state and was able to talk freely. We asked him what happened. He said the friend who was dead picked up a fight with another group of tourists and they called their friends and attacked these kids. They beat the boy who picked the fight seriously and injured others and left. After returning home, Atul left his friend's group and is kept to himself, confined to his room. We gave him room for some days. As he is only coming out of his room for food, we decided to do something about it. We encouraged him to go for walks. We brought him a bike and encouraged him to go for drives. He already learned driving, both a two-wheeler and a car. But we did not allow him either for legal reasons. Once when he was leaving the drive into the road, one girl stopped him on the road and asked for a ride. It was an emergency and there were no autos available at that time. She said her sister was injured and in hospital. She needed to reach her urgently. He took her on his bike to the hospital. He just did not drop her there, went inside with her. When the doctor asked her to deposit some money with the cashiers, she was looking through her purse. He took his credit card and paid the advance. She thanked him and said she will repay him when she contacted her parents. He said it's okay. He asked her if she needs anything and she replied nothing. He gave her his number and asked her to call if she needs anything. She said her name is Molly and gave her father's number. He left the hospital thinking he did a good deed that day and returned home. He did not go to his room, instead he sat on the sofa in the hall and started to watch a movie running on the TV. This is the first he sat in the hall after a long time. Joy came and sat with him. She put her hand on his shoulder and asked him how is he doing. He just nodded his head and continued watching the movie. When the phone rang, she went and picked it up and said hello. When she realized it was her friend, she picked up the handset and went to the balcony and continued talking to her friend. He watched the movie till the end and went to his room. The next day Atul received a call from Molly, wanting to return the money he paid in advance. She asked him where he would like to have the money, and whether should she come to him to repay him. He said he will come to her, not for money but only to see her again. She told him that she was at the hospital. Could he come to the hospital? He went to the hospital room where her sister was put up. When she tried to give him money, he refused it and said she might need the money now and she can pay it later. He asked her sister how she is doing. Her sister said she is doing better. In the meanwhile, her parents came. They thanked him profusely for helping in their time of need. He said no need to thank him, it is his duty as a fellow human being to help. Molly asked him if could he take her to the medical shop as some medicines were not available at the hospital. He took her to the medical shop on his bike, and while she purchased the medicines he waited on the bike. She came back with the medicines and sat behind and asked him to drive. When he dropped her at the hospital, she said thanks. He said don't mind and asked her when will he see her again. She said she had his number and that she will call. He had girls in their group and they had gone out together. But he never felt about them as he felt about Molly. He spent his entire time sitting beside the phone waiting for her call. When he gave up that she would call him, she called and said apologies for not calling earlier. She was scared of what he would think. She took his money and forgot him, that is why she is calling him. He was happy that she called him. He asked her if she would like to meet somewhere. She asked him to meet her at the beach at around 4 p.m, she would wait at the bus stop. He went there by 4 p.m. and waited at the bus stop. She got down off the bus after 5 minutes. He parked his bike at the stand and both went to the beach and sat down on the sand. The pleasant wind was blowing from the sea. Overall weather was pleasant. Both sat there staring at the waves for some time. A boy came with pulleys. He purchased 2 packets and gave her one. Both ate them in silence. She started to apologize for the delay in calling him. He stopped her and said it's okay, never mind. At least you called me, that is all I wanted. They sat there and chatted for some time. He told them about himself and she told her about herself. Atul's serious relationship. They started meeting daily. As it was the summer holidays, both of them were free. They met his friends. The boy who was seriously injured started to recover but it would take at least 6 months for him to be mobile. They both used to go and sit with him. She became a member of their group. They all started to hang out together, going to movies and cricket matches. She has also had a liking for cricket, as she played for her school team. After the results were declared they decided to join the same college. Days were running like flip pages of a book. When the results were declared he became the topper of his school. She got A+. When the selection of the colleges came up, he wanted to join a particular college, but she said she can't pay the fees of that college and wanted to join another college. When he is willing to join the college she suggested, I made a compromise for them. I told her I would get her scholarship, so she can join the college with him. For this, she agreed happily. Now they both are in the same college and now they can hang out with each other as before. Now the group members have given them boyfriend and girlfriend tags. Even though they do not behave as one, they accepted the tag happily. They did not behave like other couples, they kept their distance but were closer than other couples. They each know what the other wants, they understand each other's moods and act accordingly. If she is in a mood, he would know how to treat her in those moments and she knows when he is angry, how to cool him down. They become one mentally. I saw to it that her father would get a better job and would get a better income. She brought Atul from the depression that was brought by the incident in Matheran. I would hate to think what would have happened if he had not met her that day. They finished their first year and started their second year college, and by now they became inseparable. Mostly she would be dining at our home or at their home. Except for sleeping, they used to do everything together. Their friends encouraged them instead of becoming jealous of them. The boy who got seriously hurt now joined in the first year, but used to hang with these guys. When the second year exams finished, they all sat together and brainstormed what to do next year. These two decided they want to go for software. They both wrote entrance exams and joined B.Tech at IIT Bombay. As always, on my assurances that I will get her a scholarship, I was arranging it myself to be paid by the company. They would get a write-off, and everybody is happy. When they finished their 4 years I made sure they would get a good offer from our company in the campus placements. Atul's first job. Now they are working in our company as junior developers. Now they took it upon themselves to outperform each other. They used to bet each other, who will finish up first. As it is healthy competition, I let it slide. I kept in constant touch with their manager and took up on their progress. They have not disappointed me. Within 2 years they both became team leaders and had projects to their credit. Now we decided it was time for their marriage. I called him and asked him what is his opinion of marriage to her. He said, she is a good friend and he never had that kind of feeling towards her. I was perplexed. They were now together for what? 8 years and he is not loving her. I called her separately to my chamber. She thought I was calling her for some work-related matter. I asked her what is your opinion of Atul as, she said she loves him with her whole heart. I asked her what is his opinion of her. She said he never told her, I love you, and she did not know what is his opinion. I said you have known each other for 8 years and finished each other's sentences, how can I expect you did not know about his feelings? She said we never discussed those matters of love in the future, that topic never came up. I don't know what is in his mind. I said now it is up to you, if you love him make him love you. I am ready to wed you to Atul if you think you both are made for each other. Molly's try to win Atul. Now she took it upon herself to woo him. With my full support, she started planning what to do. She thought, going to a picnic would be a good idea. When she proposed to him to go for an office picnic, he was reluctant. He must have remembered the incident in Matheran. I said I will arrange an office party, make up an occasion like an anniversary. The party came and went, there was no change in their relationship. Now I am at my wit's end and told her to seduce him. That is the only option left. So, following my advice, she called him to her home on the pretext of going somewhere. Sat him in her hall saying she will go and have a bath and come back. After some time, she shouted from the bathroom. He ran to the bathroom, finding her sprawled on the bathroom floor naked. She said she slipped on bath soap and could not get up. My back seems to be broken. He took the towel from the hook, put it on her and picked her up and brought her to her bedroom and laid her on the bed. He rubbed her with the towel, brought some clothes and dressed her tenderly, called a doctor. The doctor checked her and said nothing seems to be broken and gave her some painkillers and said he will check tomorrow. Now it is her turn to be perplexed. She did not understand his behavior. When her parents returned, he left her in their care and went home. When she rang me and explained this to me, I was dumbstruck. I was trying to understand the situation and was pulling my hair. I thought something that happened to him as the reason for this behavior and decided to send him to a psychiatrist. It has taken the psychiatrist 2 months to understand his problem. When the boy was hit on the Matheran, the guys hit him in the groin and said he would be useless. Even though he was not seriously injured, those words kept in his mind. He was mentally disturbed and was thinking the words over and over. That is the reason for his depression during that time. When he was not aroused by her closeness, he thought he became important. His thought that he would be useless is his reason for not being aroused. It was a vicious cycle. I called him and spoke to him about his problem. I told him I had a problem and explained it to him and how I overcome the problem. When relating to the problem, I had him understand everything is in his mind only and he agreed to mend his ways. The doctor provided him with some medicines. I explained his problem to her and why he was reluctant to marry her. I said, now everything is in your hands to treat him and make him a normal man. I sent both of them on a kind of pre-honeymoon to clear their problems. The medicines and our counseling and my reassuring words must have helped him and he came back a changed man and agreed to be married to her immediately. We performed their marriage in the year 2018. Now he is the CEO of our company and she is the director of projects. They have 6 months baby now. We are looking for matches for our daughter. Joy's wedded life. Joy was not interested in studies like her brother. She was more interested in the arts. She went on to learn classical music and classical dance from a young age. She played small parts in the theater. Mostly she would be in her world. All her friends used to be girls. She never brought a guy to the house even as her friend. They don't have boys in their group. Her girlfriends always used to visit us. We know all her friends. Sometimes we used to wonder if she is okay sexually or not. She used to behave as if she is not interested in guys. She spends all available time singing and dancing, some theater and remaining time with her girlfriends. When her cousin's marriage is fixed, some relatives asked her during the engagement ceremony, when are you getting married? She said jokingly, when I found the groom I will tell you first. At least she has not told them, she will not marry, it is some consolation. Even in these changing times, marriage is the ultimate goal for the girl's parents. Once my cousin brought a marriage proposal for her. His name is Raj, full name is Rajendra. He told us that he know Raj's family, they are well-off family. He is postgraduate of IIT Mumbai. He is working in a shipping corporation. I said I don't know if she is ready for marriage. He said to give it a try, and let them meet. We wanted it to look like a chance meeting. When the next party was organized for some business promotions, we asked Raj to come to the party. Normally Joy would not attend these parties. This time I have arranged this party at the house and on the terrace. The guests can go for drinks and snacks on the terrace and for dinner, they can come down to the dining hall. During the party, we just introduced Raj to Joy as a relative, who has some business with us. She had a pleasant conversation with him and went away. From then on Raj used to come to our home on one pretext or another and would make it a point to meet her there. One day we were all having dinner and he told us that he likes her and would like to marry Joy. She just stared at him. We are all stunned and looked at him, dinner forgotten. Then we looked at Joy for some reply. She said she wants some time to think. We were happy. We called her friends and had a meeting with them to make her accept the proposal. After 1 week she accepted the proposal and we heaved a sigh of relief. We fixed a date for marriage with the consultation of Purohit. Raj's family consists of his father, mother, elder brother, the elder brother's wife and their daughter. They had an old house but in the center of the city, a busy locality. As we could not go to the groom's place, we asked some relatives to check on them. Believing our cousin, we did not go there and physically check their family. We made all arrangements for the marriage. His family is from Andhra. We made the arrangements for their stay at a hotel. The marriage was performed to our status. We gave her gold ornaments. We bought dresses for the bride and groom. All went well. Raj did not want to go on his honeymoon. He wants to go to his native place after visiting some temples. We had no problem and let them do what they wanted. After all, he had to come back to Mumbai, as he is working here. Joy's troubles at in-laws. But instead of bringing Joy back to Mumbai, he left her with his parents. The relatives I sent with her left her there and returned to their places. We are in regular contact with her. She said she is okay. After a week she rang me up and said, she had to submit some assignments at the college. I arranged for her flight back to Mumbai. After coming back to Mumbai, she said Raj had left her and returned to Mumbai. I thought he might have a problem with accommodation, as he might be living in singles accommodation. Maybe he came back to arrange for accommodation. I said to Joy, he could have told me, I could have arranged for the accommodation. Joy said, accommodations are not a problem, he has a good flat here, he left her there as he wants them to get to know his family. She said in the week's time, she saw hell there. They had a big house, but they gave a major portion for rent, as they don't have any other regular income. The business they were doing, closed because of some problems. Now they are dependent on the rent for their monthly expenses. It was very hot there. Even though they have AC in the room, they only run it for very few hours for fear of electricity bills. They are very misers. They did not give her any privacy. If she is chatting with her friends, they would send their granddaughter to look at her phone, she would try to read out aloud what is on the screen. It is very annoying after living freely in a home. I called him to our house and tried to understand his problem. He was very adamant in his behavior. He was angry at her for coming to Mumbai. He was asking her why she could not stay for a little more time. He would have called her or could have brought her to Mumbai himself. He was asking for whatever assets were due to her to be put in her name. He was talking as if his brother would try to take everything from her. When we asked him what are his assets, he would not give those details. I told him I would put some assets in her name, but the chances are that he would not ask for more after our death. Would he give an undertaking that he would not ask for equal rights after my death? I told him, I already will prepare and assign the assets according to my wishes. As all the wealth was earned by me only, I had the right to decide what I would like to give to whomever. I would not like to have others involved in this. Raj and his father's assets were all given by Raj's grandfather. Raj's father would have to give equally to his two sons. He can't say I will give whatever I like. I asked Raj to give his stand on this matter. I don't want Joy to suffer due to these assets and wealth matters. I told Raj that I had already drawn a trust fund in the names of Atul and Joy, and they would not be wanting anything. It seems from the conversation with Raj that he is short-sighted and only thinking of the immediate future. I told him to think it over and gave him a month to finalize his thoughts and let us have the final answer. He said okay and wanted Joy to come over to his flat to live with him. I looked at Joy, and she thought as she need not go to his native place and would be in Mumbai, she agreed to go with him. After a month I called for a meeting with Raj. He said his parents would be coming from his native place and would be joining in the meeting. I did not find any reason to reject this and invited them to join over. His parents and his brother and sister-in-law come to the meeting. They were as adamant as Raj was. They would not give their details, but they want the details of what Joy would get. Raj was just sitting in the back and not objecting to anything they were talking about. His sister-in-law got up and called others aside, went into another room and closed the door. They must be talking in hushed tones, nothing can be heard from inside. We were looking at each other and sat in silence. After some time, they came out and asked me to give the details of the assets and wealth in the name of Joy and what to expect later. From their talks they were only interested in our wealth, fixed assets and liquid assets, what would our company's valuation. I said I made all the required arrangements, but I could not disclose the details of the trust fund of what I have put in Joy's name at this juncture. At this moment all these details are fluid, they may change according to market fluctuations. If I say a figure now, if it does not match the figures in the future, they may say something offensive then. Overall, I would not like to disclose these figures at this juncture. Taking objection to this, they stormed out of the house. Raj's brother and sister-in-law left for their own house. His parents stayed some time and later went over to their house. Joy's divorce. After 3 months he resigned from the job and vacated the house and took Joy and went away to his native place. He used the accumulated leave as a notice period. He did not take up a mission, and least of all he did not even inform us that he is planning to go away. As for Joy, after going there his total behavior changed. He was supporting his father and brother's instructions, even though they were against his well-being. His sister-in-law was running the show from behind. His brother was acting like a parrot to his wife. Some relatives hinted that his sister-in-law is from the areas where black magic was prevalent. In the house front, even though they vacated one rented portion, they gave the extra bedroom to his brother, not to Raj and Joy. And Raj and Joy were made to sleep in the dining hall. They had just a curtain between their bed and dining table. Even in this room, Joy did not have privacy. His brother's daughter would come and disturb them. During the daytime, they both couldn't sit there. During the daytime, they had to spend time in the hall. Even this Joy had taken in her stride. But the breaking point was reached when Raj's brother in a fit of rage started abusing generally and reached a point he was using all kinds of cuss words. At one point he came upon Joy raising his hand as if to strike. Raj was just looking at him, not even to stop him, when he came upon Joy with a raised hand. When Joy asked Raj what kind of behavior is this, his answer was it is his behavior. When Joy asked him what if it repeats and he hits me, Raj's reply was it might happen, but I can't give a guarantee. She rang me and told me about the whole incident. I asked my cousin who stays very close to their house to pick her up and drop her at the airport. My cousin went there, packed her essential things and dropped her at the airport. She caught the first available flight and came back. When the next month's credit card bill came, I showed her the items on the list and asked what are these. She said he had her card and he used the card for his brother's daily requirements, from petrol on his bike to their food, clothes and all the items that can be bought with a credit card. I checked previous bills and they all consisting these kinds of items. Previously I have not looked at the items when paying the bills. We never checked her bills when paying. They are on auto pay mode. Payments are made automatically on the due date. We had faith in her spending. Joy is not a spendthrift, she always used her finances judiciously. The first thing I did was to report the card as stolen so that they can't use it. Next, I reviewed the situation with Joy. She said what happened from the time of her marriage to when I asked her to come back to Mumbai. I called my lawyer and asked him to prepare a show cause notice to be sent to Raj. Asked explanation for his actions, and if he did not reply within 15 days I would be forced to take criminal and civil actions against him. In the meantime, we received information that after clearing some exams, he got a job with the central government. I waited for 30 days for him to reply. When I have not received any reply, I asked the lawyer to send a notice through court by filing a case. If he did not attend court, I asked the lawyer to ask the court to send a warrant for his arrest. Citing our show cause notice and our court case, we filed divorce proceedings in the family court. Court has given instructions to both parties about the actions to be taken during the proceedings. Finally, divorce was granted after 9 months. Luckily for Joy, she did not have any children. I thought that by forcing her to marry him, we made a mistake. I left her to decide her future. The finishing. I asked Joy to look after her mother's interior decorating company. She agreed and starts looking after the affairs of the company. Loveleen agreed to help her learn the work. She is very enthusiastic to learn about interior decorating. Atul and Molly had their first baby girl. Joy loves the girl very much. Epilogue. The 1st of January 2021. I heard the doorbell ring and went and opened the door. A man was standing outside with an invitation in his hand. I opened it and looked at the invitation card inside. You are cordially invited with family to the New Year function at Hotel Taj, Mumbai on the 9th of January 2021. Attendance is compulsory. Invited by Kumar's Grand Alliance. RSVP 7893642582. I asked the man standing outside, what is this? He said, as mentioned in the invitation, attendance is compulsory. I called the number on the card. The call answered and said, yes, Mr. Kumar, are you available to attend the function? I asked, what is this function? He said, we are facilitating you to meet all your friends and family members. I said, okay, I will be coming. He said, don't forget to bring your family. I said, okay. To be continued.